and welcome to another video from Colour with Claire. Today I'm going to show you how to create a simple cloudy sky background using pastel pencils, specifically the Caran d'Ache pastel pencils, but you can use any kind of pastel pencil or stick to do this, so don't feel that you have to be tied into one brand. There are plenty out there, but I just find that these are really super pigmented, easy to use, nice and soft, and really bright and vivid. So these are my pastel pencil of choice, and let's just get started. Okay, so I've got everything set up now. I've made a washi tape border. Washi tape is basically just a very lightly sticky tape. So I don't know the actual description for it, but it isn't very adhesive. So it's got a really light stick on the back, and it's made of paper, so you can rip it easily. And when you stick it down, it will lift back up without sort of ruining or ripping your paper underneath, because it's just not got much adhesive whatsoever. So it's just for it's for decoration of planners and bullet journals, but it's also for making temporary borders like this. I've also got my dust brush. Because we're working with pastels, of course, we're going to have a bit of debris, so I need a dust brush. I've got some clean cotton buds, or I think you call them Q-tips, over the pond. I've got a Tombow Mono Zero eraser, which is a very, very thin, small eraser. I've also got a battery operated one, but to be honest, as long as you've got some sort of eraser, you'll be fine. If you've got a kneadable eraser, you can always shape that into a very small sort of roll, but I don't really use those very often. And then of course I've got my pencils. So Caran d'Ache make it really easy for doing sky gradients, because they've got all of their blues already laid out in a gradient order. So I'm going to be using all of these blues. I'm also going to bring in a couple of extra tones and colours, just for little details as we go along. So yeah, let's get started. So the first one I'm going to start with is the darkest one of this palette, which is 140. And I'm going to use the side of the pencil, not the tip. So I'm just going on like this. And you can go over your washi tape border, because we're going to be peeling that away for a crisp edge. So don't worry about that. And I'm not even putting any pressure on the pencil whatsoever. I'm just laying it across the paper and making this motion back and forth. I am using a mixed media paper, but it doesn't matter what paper you use. Pastels are really versatile, and you don't really have to use any posh paper or anything. It helps if you do have a mixed media paper, because the rough tooth of it will sort of pick up and grab more of your pigment, but it's fine to do it on any kind of paper. So all I've done is do some backward and forward sweeping motions, no pressure, and then we're going to move on to our next colour, which is 664, Cobalt Blue 30%. We're going to start here, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. It's very, very simple, this. I'm sure a lot of pastel artists would do skies much better and different than this, but for our purposes, I think it will do. Next up, we've got number 161, which is light blue. So again, just using the side of the lead, and that will just help it blend. If you wanted to make any particular marks, like say you were going to draw tree branches coming up from here, then you would use the tip of the pastel pencil just to create those marks, but I'm doing it very, very lightly. I'm going to take it all the way up to the top as well. And then the next colour is 662, which is 10% Cobalt Blue. So we're getting a little bit cooler now and lighter as we go toward the bottom. And finally, we've got 661 Cobalt Blue 5%. So we've filled in our little square. Going to give it a little brush. Square, it's not a square, it's a rectangle. That's primary school stuff, Claire. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to use our cotton buds to try and get rid of some of the streakiness of this. So using a rounded motion like this, so little circles, we're going to start from the top, put a little bit of pressure onto the cotton bud, so onto the very tip of it, and using those round circular motions, we're just going to go over everything. So you see how that's already smoothed all of that pastel pigment. You can just see the difference. Very, very quick and easy this. It's not something that you have to have a lot of skill for, or you know, a lot of time for even. It's just very quick but really effective, and you're getting that gradient without having to work for it, which is what you would normally have to do with coloured pencil. So once your cotton bud starts getting a little bit frayed, you can always turn it over. And just keep going with your circular motions, back and forth. It basically just does the job for you. There's no skill required, as I say. So this has worked really well for the ocean as well, for doing your water scenes. Just going to turn this over. You know, basically anything. You could do a sunset gradient with your oranges and your yellows. Pastels are so versatile and really overlooked, I think, in the colouring book world. There was a time when pastel backgrounds were all the rage because they would just fill up a space very quickly, but I don't often see them anymore on coloured pages, which is a shame. I'm going to start using them more definitely now that I've got these Caran d'Ache pastels. So once you've got it sort of smoothed to your preference, that's your base for your sky. So next up we're going to try and bring some cloud shapes in, and that's where my battery operated eraser comes in, but any old eraser that you've got will do fine. It's just I find that this just helps to pick up a little bit more of the pastel pigment. So again, no skill to this, just bring in some cloud shapes here, there and everywhere. So simple cloud shape. And then I've got the Tombow Mono just to bring out the tail of the cloud a little bit so it doesn't look so chunky and it kind of tapers off. You will get some debris from your eraser as well. Let's just put a little bit more of a little bump in there, why not? And then let's bring some more over this side. Don't forget, there's no wrong or right way of doing this, just kind of any old cloud. It doesn't have to be the kind of sheep clouds that you would draw maybe in little school and kindergarten. You can do some little shapes with it, just so it looks, you know, something random and organic and natural that you would find in the sky. There's no right or wrong way. And then again, I'll probably just use my little eraser there just to bring out these tails a little bit. Let's give it a brush. And just put in as many as you want really, until you're sort of pleased with the outcome. I try and keep the bottom of the cloud quite straight. I don't know why, it's just how I do it. Gives it a nice look, I think. So take a step back every now and again just to have a look, see if you do want to add any more in. I don't want to go mad with it. I think that looks pretty good, and you can see that we've actually got rid of 99%, well not 99%, maybe 90% of the pigment. Some of these darker areas will be a little bit more stubborn, but that's fine. You know, it's just, it's got the look of what we want, and it's got the kind of effective sky look. So yeah, so when you've done all of your clouds and you're happy with that, we'll then need to put a few little different tones in and highlights and shadows and things just to make it look slightly more realistic. So I'm going to grab this warm grey. It's kind of like an elephant grey. It's number 802. It's called French Grey 10%. And I'm going to just sprinkle a bit of that onto the bottom of each cloud. So this will act as your shadow. So again, just put it on, no right or wrong way. Here we are. And then straight over the top of that, I'm going to bring in a bit of purple. This is light ultramarine violet, number 631. And I'm just going to layer that on top of that grey that we've just put down. Now, purple is a fantastic colour to use for shadows. It really cools everything down and acts as a fantastic counterpart to your brighter colours, your warmer colours. Now, when you've put a bit of that on there, so quick and easy, we're just going to quickly go over it lightly with the cotton bud, a clean cotton bud, just to soften it a bit, because we don't want it to look as harsh as it looks at the moment. So again, not using any pressure whatsoever, just swiping the cotton bud over until we've got a bit of a smoother look. So that's the shadows done. Now, it always looks better when you counteract shadows with a highlight. It's to do with the contrast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab, let me see, let's grab this one, or maybe this one. Let's go with this one. So this is number 542. It's light flesh 10%, and we're going to just touch the tips of our clouds, the top bit, with this colour. So just going over all of your little humps and bumps, all at the top of the cloud. And this will give a look as if almost like the sun is catching the tips of the clouds. And as I say, it will really contrast nicely with the purple and the grey, with it being a lovely warm peachy colour. And again, clean cotton bud, just go over it really lightly. It's not a clean cotton bud. Let's go over it really lightly just to soften it. There we go. So it's nice and soft and delicate, and I don't know, it just gives an extra bit of dimension to those clouds that it didn't have before. I guess what you could do, I've not actually tested this, but is to come in with your white pastel pencil and maybe just add a little bit of white over the clouds, just to get rid of any sort of bluish tone that you see is showing up from our previous layers of blue. So I'm just going to have a quick go with that. It looks like it's working pretty nicely actually. Give it a final dust. Yeah, that's lovely. So hopefully that's given you a very, very quick and simple way of doing a quite an effective, I think, sky, cloudy sky. Let's take off our washi tape so we can see the lovely crisp outline. This is one of my favourite bits when you're using washi tape. Look at that. Lovely crisp line. Ah, beautiful. So yeah, there we go. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more colouring and art goodness. Basically just to say that if you wanted to seal this, because obviously pastel smudges, you can get something called a pastel fixative, which looks like this, and just make sure that you spray it in a ventilated area and it will seal the pastel into your paper. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon on Colour with Claire.